Greetings, citizens of the world. This is a message to Vladimir Putin, from Anonymous. Mr. Putin. The ongoing invasion of Ukraine has shown that your regime has no respect for human rights, or the self-determination of your neighbors. In the past several days, a full-scale invasion has commenced, civilian neighborhoods have been bombed, and innocent people have been killed. Refugees are fleeing the violence and the population is being forced into conscription by Ukrainian officials. This is an ugly situation all around, but you are the instigator. You have criticized the US military and NATO for their occupation and bombardment of the Middle East, which is certainly a fair criticism, but you have shown that you are no better than the imperialist governments that you criticize, and the whole world can see through your propaganda. Even the citizens that you are claiming to protect are entirely against the war and protesting across dozens of major cities in Russia. Your tyrannical response to the Russian anti-war protesters will only spark further unrest among the Russian people, who are suffering the consequences of your foolish actions. The sanctions will hurt your citizens far more than they will hurt you, which is why the sanctions are not a proper deterrent. Now, the most popular resistance will come from within. The police brutality seen in the streets during these demonstrations will only provoke further protests and destroy your credibility even more. This invasion will also begin to create more problems for you on the geopolitical front, as more countries around the world begin to see you as a threat, and an enemy. This is especially true of your neighbors who have maintained a level of neutrality up until now. Finland and Sweden are now expected to join NATO, due to concerns that your ambitions for conquest are much greater than you are willing to admit. If you continue on this path, you will continue to lose support among Russian citizens, other countries around the world will refuse to cooperate with you, and you will face unprecedented cyber attacks from all corners of the world. Members of Anonymous have declared cyber war against your aggressive regime, with numerous government websites being taken offline in the past several days. A few downed websites is only the beginning though, soon you will feel the full wrath of the world's hackers, many of whom will likely reside from your home country. Your secrets may no longer be safe, and there is a chance that key components of your government's infrastructure could be hijacked. Now with the invasion of Ukraine, the previous invasions of Georgia and Crimea are starting to come into focus and show a clear strategy for Russia to recapture key areas that were once held by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union failed many years ago and the world has not forgotten the brutality of that regime. The people of the world will resist you every step of the way. This is not a war that you can win regardless of how powerful you think you are. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. Expect us.
Where is he? The Grand Inquisitor means nothing. Kenobi is all that matters now. Is that understood? You were born what the fate would bring. I will tolerate your weakness no longer. Fail me, and you will not live to regret it. Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
Escape. Don't make me destroy you. Obi-Wan The literal being. Obi-Wan! Obi-Wan! I'm sorry, Anakin. For all of it.
You have failed, Master.
You know, I was walking around the city the other day, and it was so quiet you could have heard a window being smashed. It's strange, really. I suppose a lot of people are like windows. So many are
see-through.
so many
Get smashed.
And so many wander around with a glazed look over them. Are you like a window? Is your life a pain? Who was it?
Greetings, citizens of the United States. This is a message from Anonymous to the Minneapolis Police Department. Police brutality and murder is a widespread problem in the United States, which has undoubtedly infected nearly every jurisdiction in the country, but the Minneapolis Police Department is among the worst, and has a horrific track record of violence and corruption. This week's brutal killing of George Floyd, which has sparked protests and national outrage, is merely the tip of the iceberg, in a long list of high-profile cases of wrongful death at the hands of officers in your state. In fact, in the past 2 decades, 193 people have been killed by police in Minnesota. In recent years, we have seen numerous high-profile killings in the area, including the deaths of Jamar Clark, Philando Castile, Justine Damond, Thurman Blevins, and Brian Quinones. These are only the cases to catch headlines, where videos or other evidence proves that the police are lying. Sadly, in the vast majority of police killings, the only one left alive to tell the story is the officer who took the person's life, and thus the cycle is able to continue because none of these murderers ever face any justice for their actions. This travesty has gone on for far too long, and now the people have had enough. In the most recent case of George Floyd, the blatant disregard for human life exhibited by the officers is undeniable, and all evidence that has been released so far has shown that Floyd was being entirely compliant with the officers, which contradict earlier claims from police that he was resisting arrest. Furthermore, our initial investigation of the offending officers has revealed a criminal pattern of violence on the job. At least 2 of the officers involved in Floyd's arrest, Derek Chauvin and Tio Thao, have a history of on-the-job shootings and excessive force complaints. The Star Tribune reported this week that Chauvin, the officer most directly responsible for Floyd's death, has been involved in numerous on-the-job shootings where suspects were killed. There were 4 officers on the scene at the time of the incident, 1 who kept the gathering crowds away, and 3 who were forcefully holding Floyd down. Onlookers warned the officer that he was crushing the man to death, but none of the police on the scene seemed to have any concern for Floyd's condition. You may have fired these officers to save face, but it is obvious that this type of behavior is condoned, if not encouraged within your police department, as it is in others. Officers who kill people and commit other crimes need to be held accountable just like the rest of us, otherwise, they will believe that they have a license to do whatever they want. You will claim that this is just the work of a few bad apples, but what of the officers who stand by and do nothing while they commit offenses against the people they encounter, and the police departments like yours who refuse to prosecute these criminals as they would one of the citizens that they are sworn to protect? People have had enough of this corruption and violence from an organization that promises to keep them safe. After the events of the past few years, many people are now beginning to learn that you are not here to save us, but rather, you are here to oppress us and carry out the will of the criminal ruling class. You are here to keep order for the people in control, not to provide safety for the people who are being controlled. In fact, you are the very mechanism that elites use to continue their global system of oppression, and the world is finally starting to wake up to this, and they are becoming increasingly angry every time they see blood needlessly spilled without consequence. These officers must face criminal charges, and Officer Chauvin especially should face murder charges. Unfortunately, we do not trust your corrupt organization to carry out justice, so we will be exposing your many crimes to the world. We are Legion. Expect us.
So much for the law. And of course, one thing we associate with the law is courts. And courts rhymes with swords. And yes, it takes all sorts to make a world. And the world is full of strange things. And one example of a thing is a bacon slicer, which leads me very neatly into this. If you want to feel safer in your car, the most popular method is to buy a St. Christopher winning smile.
But why not?
And what most
People like to
do is hang it in their windscreen.
This
Is a good idea because it swings around and distracts you on long journeys, so you may soon find out if it works.
Say I talk too much, I don't care, I talk too much. Mama say I failed in life, I don't care, I failed in life. Daddy says I drink too much, I don't care, I drink too much. People say I'm headed nowhere, and I don't fucking care. Jimmy Johnson's gonna die, Sarah Susie's gonna die. Everybody's dying slow, I don't give a fuck. I'm only short like 50 bucks, I couldn't give 50 fucks. I could really use some help, you could go and fuck yourself. Everybody's gonna die, terror falling from the sky. Mothers with their children crying, I could give a fuck why. They say you'll never walk again, like the Sega era. I think somebody stole my truck. Tell someone who gives a fuck. How much do they charge in there? Wait a minute, I don't care. I'ma shoot you in the face. I'll tell you how the bullets taste. Critics say you imitate. I don't give a fuck, you late. Nope. 50 million people dying. Oh, I'm crying. Tell me all the things you saw as if I give a fuck at all. You see me